Hello and welcome to ReginaldESQ. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the French Tier 4 tank destroyer, the Somua SAu 40. So is it any good? No, it's garbage. It's another example of a low tier French tank destroyer that has great guns on a terrible tank. Now there are some people saying that these low tier French tank destroyers are pretty good because you can just hide at range, they've got good guns and just blow people away. My challenge is, have you played the tank since 9.2? Because with the TD nerf to camouflage, so that when you fire your guns now, your camouflage is reduced to 25% of your normal camouflage, as well as the bush camouflage being blown away, it makes a big difference to these very lightly armoured, and in this case poorly camouflaged TDs. Basically, as soon as you fire, in most cases you are spotted. Now, okay, you can get around that by being 15 meters behind a bush, but with so few bushes around now, if you're 15 meters behind the one single bush that exists, you can be seen by everyone else from anywhere from about a 30-degree angle from the front of that bush, and you just get spotted even without firing. So these, I know they tried to counter the higher tier tank destroyers that were decimating people, but I think it's really destroyed now these lower tier poorly armored TDs. They've really suffered from it. Anyway, I'll get into the review. It has 280 hit points, which is the most of any tier 3 tank destroyer. The least is the Su-85B with 260, and also the Stug 3B has 260, so 280 isn't bad at all. It weighs in at 24.8 tons and is the heaviest of any of the TDs at T3, but it's quite slow, so you won't be able to ram anyone. However, you will survive someone else ramming you pretty well. It has a speed of 37 kilometers an hour in forward, which is the slowest of any of the Tier 3 tank destroyers. The reverse speed of 12 is kind of below average as well. It has a track traverse of 30, and that is the equal worst of any Tier 3 tank destroyer. The other one that's bad is the Hetzer, that also has 30. But yeah, it's pretty bad. Combine that with your forward speed, and it's slow over rough terrain. It's really slow up hills. Not good. The view range of 330 meters is on the lower side of average, although it's nowhere near as bad as the Hetzer, which only has 260 meter view range. But then again, on the other extreme, the T40 has an incredible 400 meters of view range, so it is on the lower side of average. The signal range of 455 meters is also pretty poor and on the lower side of average. Now, the camouflage in this tank is the worst of any Tier 3 tank destroyer, and it's pretty bad. And it's largely due to this huge lump of turret on the top of the tank. The turret serves no purpose, very similar to the M3 Lee. It's just a big turret that enables people to spot you easily and see you coming over hills. Now, I know what you're saying, but all that extra height will give you a better view range, and let's compare the height to what I think is the best Tier 4 tank destroyer, the T40. So let's line that up at the top, this bottom edge of this window, so we can see the height there. Let's check the height of the SAu 40, and we can see we're quite a bit higher from there. So all this extra height will give us extra view range, right? No, we have 10 meters less view range than the T40. How does that work? I don't know. So, yeah. Anyway, also typical of these French tanks, as we've come to know now, these low tiers, the gun traverse is awful. This one has a 15-degree gun traverse, which is an upgrade from the previous tank, had 14 degrees. So we've got an extra half a degree on each side. Thank you very much. And that is, of course, the worst traverse of any Tier 3 tank destroyer. The next worst being the Stug 3B and the Hetzer. The Germans have 20 degrees, so theirs isn't that good either. But the best is the Marder 38T with 56 whopping degrees of gun traverse. What that does mean is you're constantly having to move your tank to aim at any moving tanks, which makes your camouflage net switch off, which once again blows your camouflage, and also means that then when you fire, you don't have a camouflage net, which makes you even easier to spot again with the new mechanics. But also it means that your incredibly slow traverse, which is the slowest, makes it very difficult to keep the gun on enemy tanks. That said, on the positive side, it does have 10 degrees of gun depression, which is excellent and is the equal best. It shares that honour with the T40. The gun elevation is also good, 30 degrees, which it also shares with the T40s being the best. However, the issue with this is very similar to the M3 Lee. Your gun depression is negated by the fact that you have a huge lump on top of your tank, which is seen when the first thing people see when you're coming up over a hill. So you're spotted before you get a chance to shoot, and then as you're backing back down the hill, they get free shots into your turret when you can't even see them anymore because it's just so high. Yeah, okay, so let's have a look at the grind for this tank. And I went straight to top engine and radio because of previous French tanks I've had. I was able to do that. The sorry, looking at the wrong tank. Yeah, I went straight to that. Now, the tracks is a definite essential upgrade. Takes you traverse from 28 to 30, but you've got to get it. The guns on this tank, you start off with the stock gun, which is the gun from the previous tank. And then we have a couple of interesting guns. So the stock gun is actually a good gun, does 110 damage, has a pretty good rate of 15.79, which is the same as the upgraded gun. Accuracy is bad at 0.45. And the pen is not really good at 68. It's okay against other tier 4s, but once we get against tier 5 and tier 6 tanks, it's just not good enough. So get rid of that as soon as you can and get this gun. Now, both of these guns are good and you can use either one. So this gun has 15.79 rate of fire, as I said, which is a very good rate of fire. Has 100 pen and does 110 damage, both very good. 0.41 accuracy isn't great, especially because you've got to be at long range with this tank, so you will miss a lot of shots, but the pretty high rate of fire kind of makes up for it. And a 1.7 second aiming time is good, and you really need it with this narrow gun traverse. Now, the next one is like a howitzer type gun. It has a very slow rate of fire of 7.06, and I did find that rate of fire meant that once I fired my gun, I was instantly spotted, and by the time I could reload, I was dead. So that is a thing with a gun. If you're against a heavy tank like a KV-1 or something, they will probably fire 2 shots to your 1, or and you don't do much damage. To a KV-1, you might do 100 or less than 100, or maybe 150 tops if you're lucky. So you do have to hit them a lot, and they only have to hit you, say, twice, and you're dead. So, and if you're popping over a hill to shoot, by the time you pop back, they'll have hit your turret. On the way down, they'll have hit you twice and you're dead. 53 penetration is pretty good for HE ammo, although at tier 6, some tanks you're doing very low damage to now, unless you can hit them in the back or side. The 410 damage, yeah, is very good. With the heat ammo, 104 and 350, that's very good. However, on some tanks, you've got to be careful where you hit. You need a flat surface for that heat ammo. If you hit tracks or you hit the gun or something, you can do no damage. And the 53 accuracy is, of course, terrible. And the 2.3 second aiming time is a real problem with this poorly armored tank. But, pretty much I had similar games in both. If you can stay camouflaged, I say this is the better gun, the one on the left. But if you're trying to ambush tanks, this one's okay. And you can, look, sometimes you hit a medium tank in the side, you can do the full 410 damage, and when that happens, it's pretty good. But it's more of a bit of a fluke. Now, I will compare this gun to the M3 Lee and the T40 for you. Alright, so I'm comparing it to the T40 because I think that's the best TD at tier 4. I'm also compared to the M3 Lee at tier 4 because many people consider that one of the worst tanks in the game. I said it was okay in my review of it. And I want to compare the guns because it is fairly similar to the M3 Lee, although it's worse in every respect than the M3 Lee, except for its view range is 10 meters better on the French tank, and the camouflage is better on the French tank. But in every other respect, especially traverse and speed and things like that, it's far worse than the M3 Lee. So let's see. Let's compare the gun. So first of all, the M3. Well, let's go. M3 Lee has a 20 rate of fire, which is sensational. The T40 has 16.22 and our French tank here has 15.79, which is the worst of the bunch, although it's not much worse than the T40. The M3 Lee has a 92 penetration, and at range it does bounce a lot of shots. The T40 has a 128 penetration and doesn't ever bounce hardly at all, and our SAU 40 has 100 mils of penetration and occasionally bounces. Now they all have similar damage, with the M3 Lee doing 110, the T40 doing 115, and our French tank also doing 110. So they all do good damage. They all have an accuracy of 0.41, which isn't great but does the job. The M3 Lee has the slowest aiming time of 2.1, and both the T40 and the SAU 40 have a 1.7 second aiming time. So what are we saying here? Well, the T40 gun and the French gun are very similar. The T40 has a slightly better rate of fire and a much better penetration, otherwise they're identical. So the T40 gun is, in my opinion, the best gun, and it's on the best tank, so let's get rid of that. The M3 Lee gun in comparison has a little bit less pen, otherwise it's pretty similar. The aiming time is worse, however the rate of fire is much better, and that's where the M3 Lee really beats this tank, and also has 30 degrees of gun traverse. So the M3 Lee has gun traverse which is twice as good, a 25% almost, or I say a 20% better rate of fire, has a lot more hit points, is quicker, traverses much more quickly, and has pretty much the same flaws as the French tank, so it's actually better. Alright, I think I've said enough about this tank. Basically, it is a tank where you need to be, if possible, at long range, behind a bush, let other people spot for you, and shoot them on open maps like Himmelsdorf and some of the sort of really open maps where there's no trees. It's just a disaster. Good luck. Oh, and for the gameplay, my crew will vary from 75 to 86%. I have a camouflage net, binoculars, and toolkit fitted, small repair kit, large repair kit, and a large first aid kit. The SAU 40 in tank inspector. Let's check out the gun traverse, French gun traverse. There you go, 15 degrees. It's shocking. Okay, armor. Bit sad, I'm sorry. The entire front of the tank is 36. That's not going to stop anything at tier 4. Look, it might stop some tier 3 Panzer 1C or something like that, maybe. Might bounce some of those. The upper turret area is even worse at 35. And the little, viewports and stuff like that are 35, but, really you don't have to hit them. The side of the tank, we have 35, and the multiple hatches are 25. And the rear of the tank is 35 and 25. Top deck, this section here is 12, and the rest of it is 20, which is actually surprisingly not too bad. So, yeah, what else is there to say about the armor? Nothing really. It's not going to stop, like I say, anything except maybe some scout autocannon, tier 3 autocannons.
Let's go.
The map is Cliff. I'm in my SAU 40 tier 4 tank destroyer. It's a tier 5 match, but only just. The enemy has one tier 5, that's a Chinoo, and we have one tier 5, it's a KV1. So as you can see, the tank isn't fast, especially on roughish terrain. It's like grass like this. It couldn't even get over 20 moving up there. Okay, downhill, you can see it went up to 38. So the terrain resistance on the tank is quite poor. So in this game I have the, I think it's a 76 or 75mm gun. It has 100 pen and does 110 damage with a good rate of fire. And as I'm moving to position, I see M5 Stuart coming up, T28. We have an M5 Stuart doing good work there, spotting. 14 points of damage, someone must have hit him with HE.
Enemy armor
And we managed to get one into the M5 Stuart there. So pretty good accuracy considering my crew's not 100% trained. That wasn't too bad. I'm reluctant to move any further up and risk giving away my position at this stage. Now there's no artillery in this game. You are a pretty easy kill for artillery with not really good armour and being very slow, especially slow to turn. So I noticed that on my right there's only the Hetzer there. The other tank we had on the right has been killed, so I'm assuming we're going to get attacked from the right fairly soon. I keep having a look over because I'm a bit worried about it. Let's see if we can get this T28.
Penetration.
116, so at 110 average damage, so it's quite a good damage roll for us. And we help eliminate the T28. I don't actually have a shot on that M8A1, so I'm going to try and maneuver to a better position. And we can just see him, but we hit the rock. We get one into him that time, so that was good. And he's now been destroyed. Great. I start turning back, but then I notice there's a T28. Oh, I didn't notice the T28. Silly me, there it is. Now I've noticed it. He's disappeared again. Hopefully the Hetzer will spot him for us again. Now I'm moving back to get cover of this bush, so that when I fire, hopefully I won't be seen. But here is dispatched, which is good. Covenanter, or Covenanter, oh, however you say it. Can't get a shot on him either. I'm just going to speed this up to 2 times for a bit. I knocked this tree over on purpose to try and get myself more camouflage. There's no artillery. Then I see a Matilda. He's trying to get a Hetzer. Fire a shot there but miss. Hopefully he'll come back. Here he comes. And we get one into the Matilda. Great, 112 damage. One more shot. He's got 113. One more shot might get him. Bounced. 103. He's got 10 hit points left. Whoa, look at that. What do you fear us with HE or something? Oh, we get the kill. Yeah, it was HE. It looked like it came from outer space. You see that shell go up? We're getting hit now by a T40.
One of our tracks is damaged.
Oh, our track actually absorbed the damage. And now we're dead. Alright, so it wasn't a very good game. I didn't have many good games in tank, I'm sorry, and I'm definitely not going to play it anymore. However, it did give you a chance to see how the gun performed, and that gun does perform quite well. I think with a fully trained crew, the accuracy would be really good. Yeah, well, certainly good enough for shooting at range. Yeah, so anyway, we'll move on to the next screen. And we can see that we finished, what, 4th on our team for XP and about 3rd for damage, I think. Next screen, and we fired 9 shots. 7 of those shots hit, which is pretty good, and 6 of them penetrated. The only one we bounced was off the turret of the Matilda, which is fair enough. We did 569 damage, which isn't too bad. We received 5 hits, all of which penetrated, although one of them was only track damage from a Covenanter. We damaged 4 tanks, destroying one of them. A little bit of assistance damage. 11,000 income, and is a big bonus for driving these tanks at the moment, which is why I'm grinding this French line, because there's extra credits and other bonuses available at the moment. So without that bonus, we would have made about 10,000, which on a loss isn't too bad, I guess.
Let's go.
Alright, the map is Sacred Valley in our SAU 40 Tier 4 French tank destroyer. It's a Tier 5 match. There are 3 Tier 5s on each team, or 2 of ours are artillery, and we have a T1, and one of the enemies is artillery, and they have a KV1 and a T34 medium. There's a bunch of Tier 4s, and there's quite a few Tier 3s on it, light tanks on each side as well. In this particular game, I am using the howitzer style gun, so I have HE, and I have some heat rounds loaded as well. I've carried 3 of them. I don't think I use them though. The map is yeah, Sacred Valley, so I'm moving up here to hopefully be able to do a bit of sort of sniping, although this gun is not very accurate. But I found I had my biggest damage games with this gun, simply because I found most games I don't get the chance to fire many shots before I get killed, and at least with this one sometimes I can fluke big damage shots. With the other gun you're just doing 110 every time. With this one sometimes you can do, you know, 300 or the full 410 damage if you're lucky. And it is really pretty much a matter of luck. With this sort of accuracy, you don't get a chance to really aim at weak points or anything like that. So I deliberately knocked this tree over to give myself some camouflage. We can see a Chihei there. So you can see there the side of a Chihei, which I believe is, what tier is the Chihei? Tier 4 medium tank. And it didn't really do a lot of damage, 114 for the HE ammo. So I did find with this gun that even, you know, hitting a T28, which has maximum of 60 armor, didn't really do more than about 150 damage. So look, I'm a bit sus about this HE ammo on this particular tank. It just doesn't seem to do as much damage as it should with often. Now you can see the reload is very slow. For me it's 8.87 seconds at the moment. With a fully trained crew it would probably be closer to 8. So it is, you know, my low crew training does affect that. So you've got to take that into account. It would be better, and the accuracy would be better as well. So Panzer 1C, damn it, I wasn't loaded. No, he's gone. I'm not willing to risk this firing blind. Oh, okay, KV-1 is outflanking us. I need to pay attention to this because what often happens is you get a KV-1 like that and then there's a scout scouting for the KV-1. That KV-1, this happened to me a couple of games ago, that a KV-1 and a scout came in. I didn't pay any attention. I kept firing the other way, and then a scout came up and spotted me, and the KV-1 shot me in the back. So this time, what's that, a T-34? That's a Tier 5 medium. Oh! Now that was a good shot. 344 damage. Okay, we've just been hit by the KV-1, so we were spotted though when we fired, which is fair enough because we were reasonably close to him when we fired. That looks like artillery shooting at us, somebody else shooting at us from the other end. Fortunately we're behind the building now. I'm hoping my camouflage has been reset, and I want to pull out behind this tree again and see if we can get this KV-1. So yeah, that's where this gun, this howitzer gun is good. Sometimes you get good shots like that and you can just take a tank out. If we hadn't have taken him out with that shot, it's almost certain we would have been killed then. Alright, KV-1. 146. So I think we hit the front plate under the turret, which is one of the easiest places to pen a KV-1. 122 this time. Obviously we're not penning, but we are doing reasonably good damage. Can't expect to pen a KV-1 with heat ammo, with HE. I haven't bothered change to heat because I have, we tracked in there, which is good. I have found sometimes that when I change to heat, I simply bounce off KV-1s because I'm not, you can't control where you hit. If you hit the wrong spot, you get nothing. Whereas HE, you still get something. Just because heat needs to hit, I believe, a flat surface. Alright, fire a couple blind, hoping he's still there, but yeah, not sure about that, how we did there. We're on 816 damage, which is not too bad. We just got shot at there. But I think that might have been the KV-1 shooting at where he thought we were, where he remembered we were, but he missed us. I can see now I've got another tank down below me, a UE-57. Hopefully he'll spot it, so I'll turn my attention over here. There's a T-28. Oh, and for once we get luck, and we hit it, and we do, once again, 350 damage. Thank you very much. So another really good hit. That may have even been a one-shot kill there, I think. I think that's the full health of a T-28. So, yay, we got some good damage in. So we've done 1166 damage. Pretty happy about that. Now I'm going to speed it up here a little bit to 2 times. We've started capping. Okay, so it's a T-46 down there. Panzer 1C's been killed. Now, I will tell you that I'll slow it down again to normal speed. I'm not able to get a shot on that T-46, and basically I don't get another shot. We cap out and I don't manage to hit anything else. So that's basically it for this game. But just take note of my damage. It says up there 1166. So let's check out the end of game stats. Okay, so that game was class 1, and we also managed to get high caliber. I got class 1 a few times in this tank, but wasn't able to get mastery. Now we can see there we actually finished up with 1377 damage. So I think it was 1166 when we left the game. So I'm pretty sure a couple of those blind shots I fired at the KV-1 actually hit. So I probably should have just kept firing, because it could have been tracked. Who knows? I should have just kept firing, but I thought he was gone. Anyway, bit silly on my part there. Next screen. So we finished second for experience after our T1 Heavy got the most XP with the damage. I did the most damage though on our team, but you can see that it's a little bit hard to earn XP because we're not doing usually any of our own spotting. We're not getting the spot points. Someone else is spotting the tank, we're hitting it, we're just not getting the points. So it's hard to get high XP. That said, 752 XP, I imagine 850 is probably mastery, something like that. And the next screen we see we fired 14 shots, 8 of those hit, and the 8 that hit all did damage, which was 1377 damage. A little bit of that was over 300 meters, which was pretty lucky to hit with this gun at that range. We received 1 hit, which of course penetrated. We damaged 4, destroying 2 tanks, both one with a 1-shot kill and the other one most of its health. Damage caused with our assistance was 124, which is probably for some tracking damage we might have done. So we received 26,000, and if we negate the extra 13,000 we received here, we probably would have made about 24,000, so pretty profitable if you manage to do a bit of damage. And as I said, 752 XP was a class 1. Thank you for watching my review of the Somua SAu 40. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to ReginaldESQ. Have fun.